what does success look like to me? What am I driving towards? And those things are very personal. It's amazing what you can accomplish when there's trust in the room. And when you remove that trust, it's remarkable how inefficient you can become.
And when you've got guys around you who are buying into your vision and pushing towards the same thing, it's energizing.
All right, so this is the Foraged Contractor Alliance podcast, and I'm Kenton here with Jeff Burkinshaw. And Jeff, you're officially our first guest, and we're super happy to have you here.
It.
And I mean, we've had Joel on, and Joel looks and acts like a guest.
No, he's
but
not a
the
guest.
truth is, he's not a guest.
No.
And interestingly, another guy that's one of the ownership team of Forge is Chris Weeb, and he's never even been on here yet. So you've preempted him, which is pretty cool.
Chris.
And so Jeff and I have been friends for I have no idea how long.
It's been quite a while.
Yeah. And so like our kids, I feel like our kids, they didn't grow up from the time they were small together, but like their teenage years, they've kind of grown up together. And so we have my daughter and one of your daughters are like really good friends, and yeah, we just like we hang out when we can, which is not often enough usually.
Right.
But it's been great. And so to most of you, you may not have heard of Jeff. Some of you, you'll be in shock and awe because he's so, he's a big time guy on YouTube in his own world. And so we're gonna dig into that. but really, like part of the motivation here is that you've just written a book.
Yeah.
I've had the pleasure of doing some editing for you on it.
Yeah.
So we've kind of been in each other's heads for a bit here, and we need to get this onto microphone and let people know what we've been doing.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Did you love the process?
No, it was terrible. I mean, I never, ever wanted to write a book. It was like the worst thing that I could imagine. But it didn't turn out to be the worst thing.
So why did you not want to write it? Because you got an interesting story, and you love telling stories.
I've often told people, some people have suggested, they're like, oh, you should write a book one time. And I'm immediately like, no, that's why I'm YouTubing. I make YouTube videos so I don't have to write a book.
And to be clear, your channel is Gridlessness. And
the Gridlessness
like
YouTube channel.
Gridlessness.
Yeah. And it's kind of followed our family for the last 9 years.
Yeah.
And our off-grid homestead, hunting, outdoor adventure. And that was kind of my way of telling the story, right? It was through video. I just liked it.
Through snapshots, essentially. Like your videos are what?
Yeah, they're
in the 30-ish minute range.
Yeah, usually 20 plus, and right now it's only every 3 weeks we put out a video. So we're not like vlogging or anything.
Yeah.
They're usually either a hunting adventure or prospecting or some sort of project around the homestead or we like inventing some off-grid energy systems.
Yeah.
And those are popular. But writing a book was never, like, I never wanted to do that. It was like a 1 out of 10. If I compared it to any other tasks on my list, it would have been like at the bottom.
So what propelled you?
But then it happened. It was an unusual circumstance. I was, for the last 18 months, suffering from like a progressively worsening back injury.
Yeah.
And it had been a big deal for a while, and I was getting nowhere with healthcare. And I was like, man, like after a year, you're kind of like, how long is this going to go on for? And so instead of just like hoping that it would be better the next day, because you're kind of done hoping like that, you're kind of like, well, what am I going to do now that I'm broken? And
especially that your life is super active. Like,
yeah, like we live outdoors.
Yeah.
And thankfully, a couple things. First of all, the girls are all like older and able. Like they did all the wood
and
splitting.
You have 5 girls.
Bucked.
Like count them. This is not a small family in today's world. You have 5 girls, which has made your story interesting. But they've always been a huge part of like your everyday life. And in a case like this, like I know the girls were also very affected by you not being able to lead the charge when it comes to a lot of this different stuff.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible, but it also, and it was very humbling for me, but it was also like you always hope you raise your kids to be capable.
Yeah.
And they had to be. Like the last 2 years, they bucked and split like all the wood. Like that's probably a combined 10 cords of wood. They bucked it, split it, stacked it. And I basically like stood nearby or, pretended to help or something. But I couldn't lift anything, and I couldn't even walk or stand. And so the last...
And I bet you some people are imagining that your girls look like lumberjacks, but they but they
No.
don't. Like they're very petite and like
but they're
like
just
beautiful girls, and
Yeah.
but they're just doing this work because this is how they're raised,
And
they
they're
they know how to do it.
tough as nails. They're
Yeah.
strong. They'll
Yeah.
beat you in an arm wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most. I believe it.
So this last year, we've been going down, like kind of road tripping down Baja, Mexico.
Yeah.
And the last few winters, and just it's been amazing. Like we've been spearfishing and like just camping on the beach. And this year this past year we didn't know if we could, because I couldn't drive.
Right.
And I was seeing this professional who was directing my recovery, and I was like buying into the system, which was essentially you can't aggravate the injury. So he's
Right.
like, if you can't, like, you can't do it if it's giving you a neurological symptom, which is what I was having. Right.
Right.
And it meant I couldn't do anything. I was basically bed rest.
Yeah.
So, but he did say, he's like, actually, he says the trip will be tough, and you have to, it might take weeks out of you, like, to recover.
Right.
He says, but laying in the heat, if you can like lay out in the heat for the winter,
Yeah.
that would be really good for you.
Wow.
And I was like, done.
Which
Like,
is not something that we typically do in northern Canada.
no.
Lay out in the heat in the winter.
No. So we're like, okay, so we're going to go on this trip. And we went down there, and the trip was tough. Rose drove the whole way, like 5,000-6,000 miles
Wow.
down to the end of Baja.
And you were like panned out in the passenger
I was,
seat, just-
tilted all the way back in the
Wow.
passenger with like some pillows under my back. And it was it wasn't really nice. Rose doesn't love the driving. She would prefer
Yeah.
if I drove most of the time.
Yeah.
Anyways, we get down there, and that's it. Now I lay in a hammock or on the ground, and I'm just waiting to get better. And the only way I could do that was by writing the book.
Right.
So that was a long-winded way to say that's why I wrote the book, because it was the only productive thing that I could do. So if you looked at my list of things, and there was 100 or 99 in front of this one,
Yes.
and I couldn't do any of those 99.
Right.
And so I was forced to.
Right.
I had to. And it was fantastic, because I would have felt, I don't know if I could have stuck with it. I might have got really frustrated.
Yeah.
It was just embarrassing to be like an invalid, like lay in a hammock
Sure.
while your family does all the work and does the fun. And, they went spearfishing without me.
Yeah.
And that's just a testament to like how incapable I was.
Yeah.
So to write the book, it was like the only thing I can do. And I didn't even type it, because to sit at a laptop, like I couldn't sit there.
Yeah.
So I actually just laid in the hammock, and I talk texted the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I did it in 31 days.
And you did it in private.
Yeah, I made, I'm laying in camp, and you can't really like write a book and try to be authentic when there's people looking at you.
Yeah, no, you can't.
So I sent them away.
Yeah, and your family is scary when you're doing that kind of work.
They are?
Wow.
My family?
You're like anyone's own family. Like I find like if I'm doing something really creative, I'm like, I don't want my wife to be like embarrassed by what I'm producing. Right. And so, and so once it's been through the editing process, and once, you feel like, okay, now we have something here substantial.
Yeah.
But like I always say, write drunk and edit sober.
Right.
And it's a theme in my life. Like I just think that so often if you don't write drunk,
Yeah.
you just, and to be fair, not exactly slosh. This is
Right.
in theory. But if you don't just get out and write and put thoughts down on paper, or in your case onto the recorder, you don't get anywhere.
Yeah, I think you just can't be affected. Like you can't have. I couldn't. I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk uninhibited.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I thought someone else could hear what I was
Exactly.
saying.
Yeah, totally.
Because I knew I would like kind of like look over and see if the person,
Yeah.
listened or like tilted
Yeah.
their head when I said.
Yes.
Maybe I would say their name.
Yeah.
Because this story is just, it's our story.
Yeah.
So it's full of, Rose and the girls.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just couldn't say all those things about them with them listening.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. and when your wife finally got to read the book, I was
Yeah.
super curious as to
Okay.
what her response would be, because like that was I mean, not into the final edit process, but that was like we were a ways. We had invested a fair amount of time.
Yeah.
And my own thinking was like, if she really doesn't like this,
right,
then we have a problem.
Right. Yeah, and none of the girls have read it yet.
Yeah.
And Rose just read it the one time. And when she read it, like when I finally said like, okay, here's the book.
Yeah.
And she like read it for a while that day, and then at night go to bed. She didn't say anything. Just didn't even mention it.
Nice.
And then like the next day didn't say anything, and then the next day didn't say anything. And, she read it over the course of a week or something.
Yeah.
And didn't say anything.
Wow.
Ever to me. And I was like, oh, this is terrible. This is terrible news. But no, it turns out she was just like being respectful, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't asked for her feedback.
Right.
I presumed she would give it to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, she was like being kind of professional about it. She was like, no, I'll read this, and then I'll give feedback when I'm asked.
Yeah.
And so I actually asked her on camera, because we were making a video. I don't know which video it was.
Yeah, I remember. I saw that clip.
Yeah, and so we showed her, and she kind of broke down. I don't know if I got that all on video, but yeah, she all got emotional, and she really liked it, which was great, because that's good enough for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's important. It's a soul-bearing thing to like put your life out there that way. And I mean, you're used to it to some degree, but I always feel like, I've done a lot of photography in my life, or even take this booth, for example, because this is the first time you've been in what I like to call as our bunker.
Yeah.
And like just right outside this wall is just a standard roofing warehouse. Like there's shingles stacked right beside us, and like what's inside here is very different than what's outside this frame.
Yeah.
And we do have a red light over the door, so people do know when we're recording. But I mean, there can be ambient noise, and fortunately our mics don't let it in a lot. But what's in the frame of the camera is not like you can decide what's in the frame and what's outside of the frame.
Right.
And you can do that when you write a book as well. But there's a lot of like, it's piecing together a lot of parts of your life that if people read a lot, they're going to know a lot about you by the end of this book.
Right. And the difference I found is, we film a video. Sure, someone could go back to like find something you said, but like people don't do that. So a video that I made a year ago, for sure, like it's out there. People could go, but like it's just different. Once you phrase a sentence and put those words on the paper, it's like eternally and easily referenceable. Yeah. Whereas video, I guess maybe that's the difference, is video's not easy to reference. Like I couldn't just be like, oh, I remember it was like, here, and it was in the chapter, he was talking about this. Because in the video, you're like, I don't know, which video it was in.
Right.
And are you going to rewatch all our videos?
Totally.
I mean, you should, but.
Yeah. Start from the beginning. And people do. You've got how many videos by this point? Like
it's a couple hundred.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's under 300. But.
Yeah. So this is really interesting. Obviously, we talk about small business, and you're a small business person.
Yeah.
And even writing this book is, in one sense, a small business.
Well,
like
if it makes money. Then,
I
mean, even if it loses money, I mean, that's small business.
There's still a balance sheet here.
Yeah.
And so that piece we're going to get to really quickly. Yeah. But I wonder, like, the interesting thing about your existence is that you're off grid. Yeah. That you live, essentially, you are a hybrid between, I mean, you're an engineer. You're an electrical engineer by training.
I'm an engineering technologist.
Yep. Okay. And you're kind of you're more hands-on than in the office usually, or at least in your career. Yep. You've been more hands-on than anything.
Yep.
So which makes it relatable. And so you're part of our world, but you're a different part of our world. And the interesting thing about you guys is that you live off grid. You live a ways off into the bush. Yeah. Like driving in this morning, you were driving for a while. Yeah. But yet you also are very connected to the world. And I think that sometimes people would just assume a gridlessness sounds like you're running from something almost. Right. Like it can, or you could think that. Yeah. And it also would seem like that the whole like being part of society is not necessarily where you're at. But what's your response to that? Like, your life story, is it running from something? Is it running to something? Is it a combination, or what's your response to that?
Well, that was just a lot of things all at once. I mean, we started by talking about what kind of business.
Yeah. No, but
and then the lifestyle.
We'll get back to the business.
Okay,
thing.
so I guess my, the journey to where we are now, it definitely, we had different kind of vision of it when we started.
Yeah.
So for me, the vision started like a long time ago, like in high school or in school. I just loved the outdoors.
But you were in the Lower Mainland.
Yeah, I lived in the suburbs.
Yeah.
So I lived in the suburbs, but I had family outside of the suburbs, and we would go visit, and I loved that.
Right.
So from very young, I knew like that's what I wanted. I wanted to live somewhere where I could, go grouse hunting out my back door,
right,
or like look at a mountain and, see the northern lights. Like I definitely wanted that from early on. And so when I actually came to producing plans, they were very, I'm going to say like kind of probably typical for someone who's fairly immature and dreaming of going out in the woods. Sure. It was like, I think you've had it. Like, I'm just going to build a cabin and live in the woods. Yeah. And it'll be super cheap and I'll hunt and I'll grow a garden. Yeah. And life's going to be very simple. And the thing is, what's interesting is when you look at all the details of our life, it's almost like the core is actually true. That's actually what happened. Like life is simpler. We live in the woods. We can hunt from our front door.
You totally can.
And we grow a garden.
In fact, one day when we drove up to your place for supper,
right,
like you guys were skinning a moose. Like you literally had got a moose like right then,
right,
on your property. And we drive in, they're like, supper's going to be a little later, man. Grab a knife type of thing.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted, and that's the way it is. And the only thing I was missing, like back when I was 17, 18, what I didn't understand was like, okay, what about all the details of life?
Yeah.
But what I think is magical now at this time is like a lot of those details are possible because of the technology we have. Mm-hmm. So, solar power systems, even when we first went off grid, it was 2007, and we bought a little solar power system, and it was so expensive. Yeah. It was $7 a watt for solar. Man. And, so to get 500 watts was about $3,500. Yeah. And
that's just Canadian dollars. So,
and that was in 2007. Yeah. So 18 years ago.
Sure.
And now that is like, it's at least 10 times cheaper than that.
Right.
And so it's way more possible in that respect to be off grid, off of the power grid.
Yeah. And actually have a decent amount of power.
Yeah. And now with the internet, you can't, like back then, there was nothing, like there was barely cell service anywhere.
Right.
Somewhere in the early 2000s, it was pretty common not to have cell service.
That's
and
true.
It was definitely common not to have internet.
Yeah.
And now...
And if you did have internet in a place like that, it would have been like tedious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It would have been very expensive.
Like you could look up in the Encyclopedia Britannica would have been faster, basically.
Even like 6 years ago, I think we still had ExploreNet.
Right.
Which, had a dish that aimed, and it was like dial up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was terrible.
When you started your channel, you were like, that. Yeah.
Anyways, but the point was, at its very, like when you boil our lifestyle down, we have been super successful in achieving like the fundamental things that we wanted, which was, we wanted like space. Yeah. We wanted to do our own thing.
Yeah.
We did not want to live in a suburb and just buy the house that someone else built because it looked like all the other houses.
Yeah.
I wanted to do stuff and try stuff.
But you love vinyl siding so much. I can't believe
No, I hate it. Yeah, and actually drywall is my nemesis.
Yeah,
I just
I
just personally hate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I saw a perfectly clean board of drywall and no one was watching, I would probably stab a pencil through it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't like it. Just don't like it. But
with apologies to all the drywallers out there.
I'm sorry. And so we wanted to, we weren't running from society. Like there are people, we've lived and stayed in lots of like little kind of obscure places kind of through my career. And there's definitely people that are hiding.
Oh yeah.
You know, or they've
Oh, yeah.
run away. And I'm not judging, but I'm not one of those people.
But you sense it because there's a different type of like I would argue that your journey's been filled with curiosity
Yeah.
versus bitterness.
Yeah. Well,
And those are different things.
well, yeah, I don't think there's any bitterness.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But there can be, because if you're hiding from something, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're running from something,
Yeah.
and I think it's an important point because I feel like living different, people
Yeah.
have questions because
Yeah.
they can't necessarily relate to you, which I think this book is really going to help.
Right.
Because it's going to open up a little bit of your
Right.
brain to people that it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But I think that people can assume really easily that you're running from something because a lot of people, when they think about running to a cabin in the woods, it's after a hard day of work
Right.
when everyone's pissed them off and
Right.
they're in this place where it's just like, let's get out of here
Right.
and like get away from Dodge, basically. But what you're saying is that this was dream fueled and curiosity fueled more than like, let's get away from something.
Yeah, it was kind of like, imagine you're just in the river. Everyone's like floating down the river.
Yeah.
If you stay in the river, you're just, you know what's going to happen. You're just
Yeah.
going to do all the things that everyone else is doing.
Yes.
But what if you're on the river and you're like, wow, look at that beautiful like little grove of trees and a little creek comes in. It's like,
Yeah.
I could get out of the river
Yeah.
and just, that could be my place. It's beautiful. And then I could explore the mountains. And I'm kind of mixing an analogy with
Yeah.
with actually
Yes.
exploring mountains
Yeah.
and forest and like going to be part of them. But back to the analogy, if you're in the river and just floating, like it's guaranteed you're going to do what everyone else does.
Yes, you are.
But if you get out
Yeah.
and you stand there
yeah.
and you walk the shoreline, like you're now on your own pace, you're doing your own thing, and you see everyone go by, you could, like a recluse, never get back in, go far away,
Yeah.
hide away for the rest of your life. But you don't have to. Like what we've done is we've gotten out to the point where we really only join, I'll say, like normal culture when we want to.
Yeah. Yes.
We're not swept away with it all the time.
Yes.
And so certain things we participate in and certain
Yeah.
things we don't.
Yeah. I think a good example of that is like one of your daughters got married this last summer.
Yep.
And it was a wedding celebration that is like somewhat like you expect, but it wasn't the same. Like it was very different in some ways. And I just think like there was a simplicity to it.
Yeah.
And there was like, we were in a hay barn for the reception.
Yeah.
There were no speeches.
Nope.
There was cornhole.
Right?
And there was like wonderful food.
Yeah.
But it was elegant and beautiful, but it was not what you would expect. It wasn't trying to keep up with the Joneses type of wedding. It was
Yeah.
really refreshing.
Yeah.
And I remember at the reception, I'm like, oh, something probably needs to be said that there's not going to be speeches because people
Right.
will expect
Yeah.
these things. And I think that was kind of like a microcosm of your life. It's like, it's not that you're trying to do things like intentionally so different
Right.
that, you know, just to make a point.
Right.
It's
No.
more so that, hey, just because most people do something a certain way doesn't mean that it's the only way to do it.
Right. Right. And like we have way more. I think if you took a selection of people that in the suburbs, we'll say the rat race, you know,
Yeah.
the people you know who are living
Sure.
and working. And if you take a selection of them, I would say that if you really like broke those people out and let them or helped them make their own kind of life choices, like career choices, lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you there would be way more variety than there is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think we are way more capable.
Sure.
We have more imagination.
Yeah.
I'll give you this. This always stands out to me. We've been to some developing nations.
Yeah.
And they're all self-employed.
Yes.
Now, I'm no expert on the developing countries, but I've definitely spent like quite a while in a few different ones. And I think like, wow, the ratio of self-employed, small business in Mexico and Tanzania and Guatemala.
Yeah.
It's probably like 90%.
Wow.
Or maybe, and that would include like working for your family business.
Sure.
Because there's no big employers. And I'm not like suggesting we have a developing nation economy. What I'm suggesting is those people like have way more like control over their success and failure.
Yeah.
Like they can be good at their taco stand and it can grow.
Yeah.
Or they can be kind of bad and they'll probably still make a living. But the point is they're able to do the different things that are required and they can choose, you know, to change it up. Like when they're like, when they see they're not, you know, flourishing in their taco stand, you know, they can
tweak the
they
dial
can do something different.
Yeah.
And compared to the number of people who kind of are, you know, they're in a career and they kind of like stay in the career, or they have an employer and they kind of stay with the employer, and it's like way harder for them to leave and become independent.
Yes.
I just think many more of us in North America are able to be independent and probably could be more productive.
Yes.
Because I think there's a lot of people who are like, I'd love to do that, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if I could. And I would say, yeah, you can.
Yes. Well, and it's interesting because when you're self-employed, like your ship can switch direction on a, not on a dime exactly, but like without you even necessarily intending it. Like an opportunity can come along, and I'm always careful about this because you can also just chase shiny things, right? Like you can be pretty crazy about it, but at the same token, you can also be fairly deliberate saying this is the type of work I want to do. But then if there's an amazing opportunity that comes along for the right type of people or the right company or whatever to do something that's within your capabilities, you have the choice to accept that. And you have the choice to prosper in that. Yeah. And I think like my own career, I'm doing something now that I never chased. Yeah. Like at all. Like at all. I often say that it chased me almost. Like I don't, even now, like I don't, every time my phone rings and someone's like, so I heard you're the guy, I'm like, okay.
How did I become this guy?
Yeah, and I don't even know how to respond to that. I'm like, so what do you need? Like let's get her done type of thing. But I think when you are self-employed, you have this type of autonomy, which to some people, frankly, is scary. Like to some people, that's a really hard thing to handle. But if you have a creative bone in your body, it's wonderful.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not suggesting it's for everyone. I'm just suggesting it's probably a lot higher than what it is. Yeah. Right? Because I don't know if you have numbers, but like how many people are self-employed or own a small business in Canada versus not? Like, is it 10%?
Do you know what? I'm not sure what the exact number is, but I probably should know.
And what I've seen in developing countries is I'm going to say it's like 90%. Yeah. And that's probably not true. I've been in mostly the rural areas. Sure. So in cities, it's maybe higher, but say 50%. Yeah. And I just think our 10% could be a lot closer to 30 or 40, which would mean like 3 or 4 times more people could be independent. Yeah. And I mean, that's where you get innovation. That's where you get competition.
You do.
It's like, hey, if there's something you're passionate about and you don't see it being served well, like you can start the business. You can do it and like offer the better product or service.
Well, and with the right group of people around you, you can also develop different types of synergy. Because what I find with small businesses is that I can collaborate with you, which we've just done actually. Right? Like we've just collaborated on something that, like on your book, which is like if we weren't small business people, you and me, we probably would have never done this together.
I probably would have found someone taller. And
way more articulate and a heck of a lot more handsome. Yeah, no, it's true.
Well, but I think if you're a small business, you naturally are a little bit opportunistic and you're kind of like, what's the opportunity here?
You're looking for synergy.
And,
you really are. And if you're, and this is the thing that I often think, like, so I'm in the trades and I think to myself, like a general contractor brings a bunch of sub trades together. Yeah. And what he does is he creates an opportunity for us to develop synergy. Yeah. And if we're good sub trades and we care about the project, we're going to work with each other behind the general's back almost sometimes. Not like so that we don't want him to know, but basically we're going to problem solve and figure things out. And then if we come to like a question of like, is this right for the project? We're obviously going to talk to the general. Yeah. But the synergy in that is really refreshing. Yeah. And we're not constrained by anything. Yeah. It's like, we want to make this good. Well, how do we do this?
So let me go back to your, I forget what your words were, but my feeling was that you were kind of calling me a little bit of an outsider. So let me address that.
Sure. Yeah. No, let's go.
I was actually thinking about this morning.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I don't consider myself or our business to be like a blue collar or like a trade business. It's not. However, at the same time, like I've been wearing steel toes and the same old hard hat and high vis for a long time. So it's like, okay, well, there is some overlap here.
There is.
And so I'll describe exactly what I do, actually.
Do.
And what I have done for the most part of 20 years in the electrical utility industry is testing and commissioning of control systems.
Yeah.
So in a substation or a generating station or in a large industrial plant, like in a mill, a mine, a gas compressor station.
Yes.
There's a room in there in all those places that has the controllers, and they control all the big equipment.
Yeah.
And that's what I work on. And so in our small business at that time, when I had employees and subcontractors and we would go do these jobs, you'd go sometimes to very remote sites.
Yeah.
And wherever these big industries or utility stations are, and we'd have a small toolbox with little tiny screwdrivers for like tweaking little control knobs.
Yeah.
And obviously electrical test equipment. And we would kind of use the laptop, because now, of course, all controllers are programmable.
Yes.
But actually super old equipment was electromechanical, and that technology still exists in a lot of places.
Okay.
And so lots of little, springs and like bearings and windings. And so, lots of voltmeter kind of and electrical tests. So yeah, it was definitely like a very niche, like specialty thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely not residential or commercial.
Yeah.
It's definitely like industrial utility. But yeah, we worked alongside all the other trades, because all those projects have civil work.
Yes.
And they have structural work.
Sure.
And, once there's a steel building and they start, lifting in the control panels, we get involved, and then the electrical contractors are always wiring, and we work really close with electrical contractors.
Well, and what marries you to the blue collar side is that you have to be on site.
Yes.
Like, you can't do that from a remote location. Like, you've got to get out there wherever that is, which I guess is a remote location often for where you're working. In the north, we have these we have bush and forest, and then all of a sudden there's something.
There's a plant.
just there. And I think it's hard to imagine if all you've done is live in a city, what that can look like. But you drive for literally hours.
Well, so there's a site, and I've worked in that region a fair bit up in the northwest of BC. They call it the Golden Triangle, because there is like butt tons of gold in those mountains.
Yes.
And they're really only been developed in the last decade.
Yeah.
Even though the gold has been staked for like a century.
Sure.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not a secret.
But like some of those locations I've worked up in there, there's from here I could drive 12 hours to kind of get to the region.
Yeah.
And then you take various back roads.
And to be clear, we're 8 hours north of the U.S. border.
Of Vancouver
driving.
area.
Yeah. So then another 12 hours. We're talking 20 hours of driving.
Yeah. And there's there's towns, little towns, medium towns. There's definitely no big towns in between. But then you get out there, and this one mine, the Bruce Jack mine in the northwest, it was maybe the first commercial gold mine in that area for a long time. There's also the Red Chris, but I think it's mostly copper. So the Bruce Jack, you actually drive across a glacier for 7 kilometers to get to the mine.
Wow.
So the mine is on the very top of the mountain, but the glaciers that flow down the mountain, you have to drive across it for kilometers. Like the only way up the mountain is to drive up the glacier. Wow. So they grade, and I actually kind of wondered this, like when I was there, the road gets rutted and whatever. Yeah. The road is ice, pure ice.
Yeah.
And so they grade it with graders, and they kind of like chip it, so you're kind of driving on ice chips, which have
so there's
actually
a little bit of grip.
It's actually a decent amount of traction.
Sure.
But like, of course, the walls were getting taller even then. That was years since I was there. So I kind of thought, like, can they ever build up the road, or is it, you know what I mean? Are they just gonna keep, as they grade it, they're just like always going down, because in places there was 10-foot like ice walls on the sides. But anyways, it's remote. That's my point.
Yeah. Like literally.
And so a lot of things, a lot of things about the job are not actually the job. It's kind of like getting to the job, and then how do you, what do you do there? Well, you stay in camp.
Yeah.
Or you stay in whatever obscure
and you
little.
hope like heck the cook is good.
Yeah. And so, I definitely have camaraderie with a lot of the trades because we might carpool together or we might stay at the camp and we definitely work side by side.
Yeah.
But definitely, I'm not like, I'm maybe this kind of bridge between engineering, what you think of engineering, which is office work, and field work.
Yeah, in between. And what you didn't know when you were young is that you had to have money.
Well,
I mean, you knew, but you didn't. But like,
I just didn't know where all the money would leak out.
Yeah,
that's what I didn't know.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And you and like, there's a whole lot. And thank goodness you don't know when you're young, right? Like, because you wouldn't try anything.
That'd be overwhelming.
It would be seriously overwhelming. Like, to raise 5 girls in today's world, I don't care where you live. Like, if you're gonna live well, that's gonna take at the very least some serious effort. And so I was just listening to a podcast where they were talking about the arduous good, saying that in our civilization, we tend to think that if it's not pleasurable, it's not good.
Right.
But the truth is that the arduous good is much more historically sound way of looking at good, which is that this might be hard, but it's good for me.
That's like how the Bible starts.
That is exactly how it is.
That's what he says.
Totally.
And then he rested.
That's
and
exactly.
He would create something and then say it was good.
Yeah, exactly. And it took effort.
But also Dick Pernicke.
This is true.
Right? Yeah. What did he say? He said, it was hard work, but I enjoyed it.
Exactly.
Right.
And interestingly, in this same podcast, this lady makes a statement, and I just wanted to like push back,
reach out.
But she's like saying like raising kids is an arduous good. Right. I'm like, yeah, it is. Yeah. Like, it's challenging. And I mean, I'm not a guy who loves diapers, but man, I figured it out.
Yeah.
And you look at, she was saying like running a marathon is an arduous good. I'm like, sure it is. Like, absolutely. And I've done that as well. And it's like, it's great. And there's a lot of satisfaction there. She said, it's not like moving a piano where there's no satisfaction from it. But I wanted to push back against that, because I'm like, I think that as blue collar people, a lot of what we do is like moving a piano. Right. Like, a lot of what we do, and even in the stuff that you're talking about, like when you're out there remote in the middle of nowhere, you're not with your family.
Yeah.
Because, I know in some cases you were able to get your family up somewhere close to where you were working, which is pretty awesome. Yeah. But for the most part, you're out remote. You're working with a bunch of guys that you may or may not like. I mean, hopefully, if you have the control of hiring some guys, you'll hire some guys you like. But like, you're out there. The food you're eating is not by choice. It's like whatever's presented for you. And you're in a place where essentially you're working extremely long hours because you have to. Like, what else are you going to do out there? And so those things can be arduous, but they're also very fulfilling. Yeah. And they also facilitated a lifestyle for you that, like, you were able to pursue your dreams, but you had to pay a price for that. Yeah. And like, when I started, I made this real choice. I remember it was pretty distinct. Like, I went to tech school and I was still like in a fantasy land. I was 19. Yeah. Just married, went to tech school. And in my mind, I was going to like, work for NASA or invent cool things. I wanted to be like an inventor and design things. R&D would have been awesome. Yeah. And then it was actually just after my first year. Yeah. And the schooling was pretty awesome. I really liked it because it was all applicable. I could learn something and then build something. Okay. And then it was like, okay, time to look for a job. And I immediately looked up north. Yes. And ended up getting a summer job at the dam, at the WAC Bennett Dam. Right. Which is a massive dam for those of you who don't know. It was BC's largest, definitely largest reservoir. Definitely made the most power of the province. A third of the province's power came from there. Right. And only because Uncle Dave, Auntie Wendy lived up there. Right. And they knew a guy from their church worked at the dam. And like, I kind of just, I knew a guy who knew a guy. Yeah. And I got this summer job up there because they're like, we've never had someone from the Lower Mainland apply for a summer job up here. And they're like, we will make a position for you. Yeah. So they did. And I worked up there. But I was still kind of like, it was just like a summer job. Yes. And so for us, it was fun. Rose and I were just married. So it was like our first summer, actually. Yeah. We lived up there. And
I go back to school, and one semester later, in the wintertime, I'm like, okay, now I need like a real job. And so for the first time, I'm like thinking about the long-term implications of not only the schooling I'd taken, but now the job that I would choose.
Yeah.
And all those cool jobs that I had imagined.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think of this. They're all in Burnaby or Vancouver.
Yeah.
And some of my buddies took cool jobs with like tech startups.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I would have to live in Burnaby.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like really did not want to do
which
that.
is very metropolitan, which is...
It's just like the outskirts of Vancouver. It's the greater Vancouver area, right? There's like 3 million people down there.
Yeah.
And that's, I grew up on the edge of that.
Yeah.
And
that's not what you
And
wanted.
I'm not dissing where I grew up. It's just that I had for a long time known that I wanted to end up somewhere with wilderness and like a big piece of land.
Yeah.
And like somehow it took me till, I was 21 to be like, oh, I can't have the tech job.
Sure.
And
that's funny.
10 acres.
Yeah. You're like, wait a second, there's a juxtaposition here,
and so
it's not going to come together.
So I chose a job with BC Hydro.
Yeah.
And I went back and worked for, that's who I worked for the summer job.
Yeah.
So I went back to them, and it wasn't the job that I had dreamed about.
Sure.
Like it wasn't inventing things.
Yeah.
But I could have 10 acres.
Right.
So I could move to the rural parts of the province, the little towns, and have that life. So I don't know why I'm telling this story other than to say, I didn't know up front. I didn't have it figured out. And how I ended up exactly doing this type of work was not, like I didn't design that. I kind of...
Well, but you had to establish what your priorities in life were.
Right.
You had to say that pursuing a certain lifestyle was worth the sacrifice of not necessarily doing what you had dreamt about doing.
Yeah.
And I think that these are the things that, like, at this point in your life, it looks like, well, man, like all the stars have aligned and you're living the life that you always had planned. But I think it's important to know that at some point you've got to make, I don't know if you want to call it a compromise or just a decision to say that what I'm going to do, who I'm going to be, I'm going to determine a path, which means that by its very nature, there's other things that you just can't do.
Right. You know what I just thought of was, this is interesting. I've never really thought of it this way, but just as I described it, you know how on YouTube there's these videos, it's like, buy a boring business. I don't know if you ever watch business stuff on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
But like, I definitely get those pop up. I've definitely seen some. It's like, start a pool cleaning business.
Yeah.
I started a laundromat and I made $1 million.
Yes.
And so I've definitely seen this sentiment, which is like, start a boring business or buy a boring business. Yeah. And I think there's probably something to it, not just the clickbaitiness of it.
Sure. Yeah.
And essentially that's what I did. I chose the boring business.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
And so fast forward a few years and, say after 5 years, I was earning decent money,
sure.
right? And nothing crazy, but like good money.
You were right in the golden handcuff zone, weren't you?
Totally, yeah. I mean, working for Hydro, it's a union job.
Yeah. You're making enough money to borrow enough money,
right?
To live, to have whatever you want to have. Like
right.
as many, like you can have your quad and you can have your truck and you can have your acreage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was. I'm gonna say fine.
Yeah.
And then I looked and talked to my other buddies who took those really cool jobs.
Yeah.
They were still earning. I was earning 28 and they were still earning like 21.
Okay.
Which is, that's like 40% more.
Like we're talking dollars per hour.
Dollars per hour. This is like 20 years ago.
Yeah, sure.
The point was those little startups.
And
like,
they're also paying a lot more to live.
They didn't pay. And they're living in the city.
Yeah, exactly.
So essentially,
their expendable
say I'm
income
getting
is
paid
0.
40% more. My benefits are definitely better.
Yes.
And then my house costs way less.
Yes.
So I'm essentially making double.
Yeah.
And so, my boring job is actually pretty lucrative compared to like the spicy, interesting job.
Yeah.
Then fast forward, another 10 years.
Yeah.
And I had become an independent contractor.
But let me interject.
Okay.
Just because you're making, essentially your expendable income would have been, well, let's say your buddy's expendable income at that time was 0.
Yeah.
Because they're just making it, right?
Yeah.
Paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And you actually have some expendable income at this point because you're living lifestyle choices. But just because that's the case doesn't mean this next step happens. Like, do you know
Right.
what I mean? Like, that alone was not enough to accomplish what you were aiming for in life.
No, but now we're talking about two different things. So one of them, I was just kind of talking about the boring business
Yes.
thing. And so let me finish up the boring business
Please do.
part. So the boring business, first of all, turned into like pretty decent money.
Yes.
But nothing special.
Yes.
But definitely better than the interesting, kind of the cool business that just didn't end up paying like
Totally.
nobody. But then it just got even better because once I ended the union
Yes.
environment and there was business opportunity
Yes.
to become an independent contractor.
Yeah.
And then that's where the real money is.
Yes.
And again, looking back at my buddy, he's still doing the same thing and like
Right.
not making great money.
Yeah.
Anyways, just an example. There's opportunities in boring business.
Yeah.
It's not the point of
Yeah.
like my book or whatever.
Yeah,
But I think it's an interesting observation.
Yeah.
Because for sure, at the beginning, for me, I was kind of sad
Sure.
to go into the boring
Sure.
business.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it also got more interesting. Like once I got more skilled and I found like niches within
and
it.
this
right?
is what connects these dots in my mind is that so the boring-ish, and I mean, to say that your work was boring would be not quite fair because there's a lot of interesting stuff to what you were doing, but it wasn't to the same degree as if
on
you were
paper.
sitting. Yes.
On paper, it was
Sure.
the boring choice.
Yeah. But then you made progress. You were like, you saw opportunity as a contractor, and you saw opportunity as like you could do the similar work that you were doing using the experience that you had gained.
Yeah.
But actually get a piece of the
Yeah. Well, what I
cash
saw
associated.
was really how, once it took years, of course, to get like the actual expertise.
Sure.
But then once I started looking beyond the expertise and kind of like in the management and the business side of things, I
Yeah.
realized how on business a Crown Corporation is.
Yes.
Like it has zero economic driver. It lives in like a bubble.
Yeah.
It has nothing sharpens it.
Right.
And so as soon as they ran into a spot where like our kind of craft never had, there was a period where it didn't have independent contractors.
Right.
And that changed around 2010.
Okay.
And there was just major projects and they couldn't do it all. And they suddenly needed some, initially just a couple retirees.
Right.
But I was like, oh, that's like a business. There's like,
Right.
now that it's open to contractors, it's like, I could do this for hydro and you can still also do it for the large, I guess it had always been an opportunity to work at the mills or the mines, but now it was also an opportunity to work for the utility. And in BC, we have like a monopoly. Essentially, BC Hydro monopolizes utility here.
So when you decided to make the leap and go from being an employee to a business owner,
Yes.
was that always in your dreams, or was that something that developed as you went along?
Yeah, starting my own business, becoming independent was definitely like always an idea.
Okay.
And even when I started as a trainee with BC Hydro, a couple of the mentors that I had, they talked about, I do some work for the, evening and weekend work,
Sure.
for the local mill or something. And
Yeah.
I remember still being like, yeah, that's cool,
Yeah.
And, they made a lot more money because they're contracting directly to a large company.
Yeah.
And it just kind of seemed like, yeah, that was ballsy,
Sure.
That was like,
Yeah.
that's what a man should do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I kind of always had that in the back of my mind. But it just didn't seem practical for quite a while.
Sure.
And then it took 10 years at Hydro
Right.
before it all came together.
And during that time, you're developing skills.
Yes.
You're also seeing things you don't like.
Yep.
You're growing as a person.
Yes.
You're becoming a family man. You got kids at this point,
Yeah.
which puts
So many kids.
which puts a totally different kind of like just time means different things when you have little kids.
Right. Well, and when you're 18 and dreaming, you don't really, you can't really internalize like I have a mortgage to pay and there's like this huge risk. Like
Yeah.
in theory, it's like, yeah, you could become independent. It's like, yeah, but what if you don't get a job for a month or two?
That's right.
Then what?
Yeah.
So those kind of real things I grappled with in time, and that was a big. I think a lot of people that they'll never pass that point.
Yes.
So we passed that point, and actually, like it ended up exactly like the risk happened.
Yeah.
The risk happened when I left. They weren't happy. They
being the corporation,
the employee, the employer. Yeah, the employer wasn't happy because they're like, well, shoot, Jeff's kind of like this tenure guy. I had just had taken on a higher profile role as a technical trainer for a couple years.
Yeah.
So suddenly, most of the people in our world knew who I was.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's like, oh, if this guy leaves and then is a successful independent contractor, a bunch of guys might leave.
There's an awkward
which
precedent.
is called the free market.
Yes.
But the free market is not a thing in a Crown Corp or in a union.
Right.
So they're just like terrified of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, it's okay. I'm still like a good guy.
Yeah.
I can still do good work, but I'll actually be able to get a lot more work done as an independent contractor. Because, in that union environment, their own numbers showed their productivity was like hovering in the 50%.
Right.
And even the 50%, that's based on like their own internally developed like time estimates to get work done. So it's kind of like, well, even the 55% isn't necessarily efficient.
Yes.
But for sure, what they knew was 45% of their work was like not work.
Yeah.
It was like safety meetings and then like trainings and then like fluffy stuff. And then I don't know.
And
I don't know how they do it.
Don't forget coffee time.
And coffee time. But that's not even captured. Like that's the thing. They don't capture like the 1 hour lunches when they're supposed to be half an hour and the 45-minute coffees that you can stand around and BS with a bunch of those union employees forever.
Yeah.
And like some of that is good. Like
Sure. Absolutely.
Once in a while that's actually like
productive.
It is productive because you're connecting crews and you're talking about relevant things.
Yeah.
But
or irrelevant, but you're learning to know each other so that you can totally.
Yeah. So like not disrespecting all those individual things, but but actually, there's nowhere in the union environment that like sharpens itself.
In a small business, I find myself, even at this point in my career, constantly saying, is this efficient? Is this working? If it's not working, what can I do to make this work better?
Right, because you have to.
It matters.
The free market makes you. You have to offer a better product or service. And that, there was no competition in that environment.
Sure.
And anyways, there's a whole bunch of ways how I felt like I was going to have to like stab myself in the face if I stayed there.
So you take the leap. You start your own company. Now I want to spend the rest of our time because I've got to get to work before too long.
Yeah.
But I want to spend the next.
We're not getting paid right now, right?
I want to spend the next little bit chatting about how you control the momentum, because you start your company and you start to get contracts and literally, and this is the thing that I push back. In fact, we had a comment on our channel not long ago. Yeah. And this guy is like, you small and medium business people live under a lie. Like, you don't understand things. You have this like this. He was talking specifically about branding and figures that we don't understand branding, etc. And you know what? Like we all believe some lies. Right. So I'm not arguing that he's entirely wrong. And I think that I appreciate pushback. So if you want to push back against what we're talking about, like giver, that's great. And so I appreciate the comment, but it's interesting to me because I think that there's this concept out there in our culture that small is not good.
Right.
And that the only way, like you hear this comment all the time, is that if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward.
Right.
And what this says is that if you start a business, the idea is to just make this thing become massive.
Right.
And develop this lifestyle where you can be on the beach in Mexico writing your book while you've got an army of people back in some mine somewhere making you millions.
Yeah.
And unless you're growing to that extent, then somehow you're failing at the game.
Right.
But you have very deliberately chosen not to do that, even though I would argue you have the brains, the personality, and the ability to run a massive corp. Talk to me. And I know this. Like, I'm not just trying to butter you up. I know that you could run something monumental if you wanted to, but you have chosen a different path. Talk to me about that.
Well, first of all, you said something about maintaining momentum.
Yeah.
And immediately I remembered Mr. Dave Godber.
Mutual friend of ours. I'm working with him today, in fact.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So Dave's famous for being hilarious.
He is.
And but he once I don't know what the circumstance was, and he says, I've always said a Jeff at rest will stay at rest, but a Jeff in motion will stay in motion.
Nice.
And I guess he was sussing out some of my personality.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, all I did was the thing that we all know.
Yeah.
Like, we've all heard that little story. It's almost like the parable of the fisherman in Mexico, and the
Yes.
wealthy guy comes down.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, you could buy a boat, and then you could hire people,
Yeah.
and then you could build your business, and blah, blah, blah. And the guy keeps being like, yeah, but that'd be expensive, and I'd have to take a mortgage, and then
Yes.
I'd have to, but then you could get more boats. And and then at the end, after 20, maybe 30 years of like
Yes.
really grinding, you could slow down and just like fish on the beach and feed your family.
Yeah.
And of course, that's exactly what the guy's doing.
Yes.
So we know that kind of parable.
We do.
And I think most of us believe it. Like, the important things to most of us is not really the dollars in the bank account.
Yeah.
Because what do you want to do with the dollars in the bank account? Well, you probably want to take your kids on an adventure, or
Yes.
maybe you want to take your wife somewhere, or maybe
Yeah.
you want to just invest in some of your personal interests, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you like building things, then you should probably build yourself a shop and buy a welder and do those things. So the money's not it. Now, I do recognize there is like a little game. There's a part of business which is like a game.
Oh, totally.
Which is like, I want to win the game.
Totally.
I want to make the money.
Absolutely.
But I came to this point after contracting for a few years, and I had about 6 guys, and it's kind of like high-end work. So
And these are handpicked guys. So like 6 guys.
yeah, this was the A team.
Like, these aren't dough heads. These are guys that you can go places with.
Like, we had the van with
Yeah.
like the steel welded on it with the
Yeah.
little, and the guys in there with the guns. I think the A team did that all the time, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We had that van
Yeah.
with the A team.
Airtime over the bumps.
Pity the fool.
Yeah.
Right? We had that guy.
Yes.
And so, and we were making money.
Yeah.
Like, the guys are being billed out at like $140 an hour. This is like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And we, unlike most of the trades, we have like very little tool and zero material cost. So it's almost like we're charging like consultants.
Yeah.
Or sorry, we're like our expenses
Are like
are very
consultants.
low,
Yes.
like consultants.
Yes.
But our billing is generally even higher than like contract.
And like consultants, though, a lot of your expertise is between your ears, and
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyways, so we were making really good money.
Yeah.
But I could see we're at that point. We had like basically the equivalent of like 6-ish full time,
Mm-hmm.
and Rose was doing like all the logistics, right,
Yeah.
and admin.
Yeah.
So she was working a fair bit,
Oh yeah.
and I was working managing, but also doing a lot of work still. And there was a choice at that point, like go big or go home, and it was a kind of an easy decision in the sense like, well, I don't want to go big. Like, I could just see how much it was already stressful. And I was like, oh, that stress is directly related to like the amount of work that we're doing,
volume.
the amount of risk we're taking,
Sure.
the amount of money that we're making, but also putting out.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, that's just like not what I want. My kids were really young still.
Yes.
And so we made the decision to join a larger firm,
Yeah.
which was offered to us. Like, someone kind of like hunted us down
Yeah.
and said, hey, why don't you join? It'll be like a little merger acquisition type of thing.
Yeah.
So we made that decision, and it was an awesome decision, but still I took a role. Like, I started full time and as a partner
Yeah.
and as a director in that company, and it like offloaded Rose. She didn't have to do all that admin and
Sure.
logistics, and it offloaded the risk.
Yeah.
And it still made a ton of money.
Right.
And then at a certain point, I made the decision that all of us, this is the decision I was saying, that people have. Like,
Yes.
say you got this amazing life, you could like go out in the morning, catch a couple fish, come back and like cook it up with your family. But that's not what I was doing. I was like working a lot, making a ton of money.
Yeah.
But
Based out of your off-grid homestead. Like, that was still home base for you.
That's right. But I was traveling like 100 nights of the year.
Right.
So I was flying all over.
Yeah.
And it was just like not what I could have, like, because I had this cabin in the woods.
Yes.
And I had my kids, and my wife was homeschooling and making
Yes.
all this delicious food. And like,
Yeah.
we could hunt out the front door if I was home. And so I was like, well, we just don't really need to make all the money. And so I was like, well, let's try making like no money for a while. So, so that was maybe the decision that most people don't make.
Yeah.
Because like all my peers in that world were, I mean, especially like the generation older than me, they had like fur coats.
Yes.
Yeah. And they drove Jags.
Yeah.
Which is not where I would put my money, but like they literally, and they had yachts.
And they probably had watches.
They had yachts. Like they made a lot of money,
Yeah.
was my point.
Yeah.
Especially if you kind of stayed there. So I had a clear choice. I was like, I could stay here. And there was parts of the job that like I really enjoy.
Sure.
And I loved being part of a great team.
Yeah.
And there was tons of money, but I was like, but why? Like, I just don't need the money.
Yeah.
I already have a cabin in the woods and I got my family here.
Yeah.
And there's so much for us to do here.
Yeah.
So I just pulled the pin. I'm like, I'm out of here. And that was it was kind of crazy, but I walked away from, like, I could have just kept making a lot of money.
Yeah.
It could have been, I could have had like a lot of like work related, job satisfaction.
Yes. Because to be clear, the boring job is not so boring when you're running the business.
No. See, that's the thing. And also, again, it was boring on paper, but we went into like kind of a specialty, which was like large project construction.
Yes.
And that was way more interesting.
And challenging.
Like, cause I kind of I got like sucked right into the interesting part.
Totally.
And then once you are owning, managing, then there's risk and business. And so I really enjoyed all that.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing bad about it.
Yeah.
It's just, it was kind of like, yeah, but it's not what I set out to do.
Yes.
And it's not, and I still don't really want to do that. I want to do stuff with my kids. I want to like have a big garden.
Yeah.
I want to, and our homestead wasn't, it was still like half built,
Yeah.
I mean, it's still not totally built. It'll never be totally
It's a
built.
homestead.
But yeah, exactly.
Let's
So
be honest. It's a journey.
So I quit, and we'd had a few good years, so I had savings, and I'm like, well, let's just live off of our savings for a while.
Yeah.
And let's invest our time and some of that money in the homestead. And so we just did all sorts of homestead projects for a few years. We went on amazing hunting adventures. And the girls were all like, Sarah by then was just graduating.
Who's your oldest? Yeah.
Sarah was just graduating, and she's the oldest, and the youngest would have been younger than that.
Yeah. By a chunk.
6 or 7 years. Anyways, so I knew like time was really limited with the kids.
Yeah.
And shortly after I quit, Sarah went away, worked at the fishing lodge, and then the next year was married.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I didn't do this like a minute too soon.
Yeah.
And then, so it's actually been 6 years. I had originally intended like, well, let's take a year off.
Yeah.
See where it goes.
Sure.
And then a year turned into 2, and then 3. And then kind of the YouTube was growing in the background, which is just a hobby.
Yeah.
But YouTube grew to the point where in a couple years, it's like, what I could do is I could just contract a little bit. Like just go back as like a hired gun.
Right.
Do a few jobs.
And literally choose your jobs.
Yeah. Just basically be like, I want to do a job that's like in my wheelhouse.
Yep.
I want to be valuable.
Yeah.
To offer value and receive good compensation.
No employees.
Yeah. And just really keep it like start, end.
Yes.
And I work in the middle. And so I did that for the last 3 years, and just took and I ended up working like quarter time-ish.
Yeah.
The last few years.
Yeah.
And YouTube was contributing some revenue by now.
And to be fair, for someone on a homestead to say you're working quarter time, like on a homestead, there's non-ending work if you choose to. It's just very, very different than when you're on
working for dollars quarter time.
Yes.
And working around the homestead, that's like, man, there's no job satisfaction like digging up carrots that you planted.
Yeah.
Like I encourage anyone, like there's hard work in the homesteading.
Sure.
But it's not the kind of, and actually some of it is terrible and stressful. Like we've had animals.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. And we're learning everything from scratch, right? And animals die.
They do.
And or they almost die. And you feel responsible and you are responsible. Like, but that is like what makes us strong humans. Like, and for the kids to grow up and see the life and death and the failure, but then also like those successes, like digging up the carrots
and the new baby goat.
And then,
we've been there when you've had one.
Oh man, they're so cute.
It's like pretty.
There's nothing cuter than a baby goat.
I'll tell you.
Like they're like little 4-pounders, and they just. But within like minutes, they're like bouncing around and
the billies to imagine that one day they'll be as atrocious as they become. Like when they're little. Oh yeah.
There is nothing as dirty as a billy goat.
But
I don't just mean like dirty, like dirt.
Yeah, no,
I mean like filthy.
We're trying
naughty.
We're trying to sell two billies right now because I'm just done with them.
Yeah.
And
it's triple X kind of stuff.
My daughter is just like, I can't get a decent picture.
No,
they're that disgusting.
Because they're always doing something
they're
naughty.
Disgusting, but yeah.
And they do the lip curl like.
No, they're terrible.
Yeah.
But when they're young, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And the does are amazing. Like we have goats and we'll But so this takes self-control. Like I really think it takes self-control because I think that most people, once they get into something that works, they just drive that horse.
Yeah.
And there's no and again, we're not saying that this is evil.
Right.
We're not saying that it's horrible.
No, it's just
and everyone's got to find their way.
Yeah.
But what I love about your story is that it gives me pause. It's like just because I've got the ability to have a non-ending stream of work in front of me, which I do.
Right.
Doesn't mean that I should take it.
No, yeah.
It doesn't mean that I've got to say yes to every contract that comes.
Yeah.
And I have no obligation to just keep rolling the machine bigger and bigger. And I think this is one of the challenges that I talk about with my buddies is like, when is enough enough? Because every time that I talk to someone today and say, so when you're earning what amount of money, will you say that's good enough?
Right.
And usually at this point in life, they're like, yeah, once I'm making my $250,000 a year, I'll be fine. Yeah. I have one buddy who's like, until I'm making $100,000 a year, $100,000 a month rather. He says I won't settle. And I'm like, man, how do you spend $100,000 a month? I guess you can, but my point is that whenever I talk to those people, and he's way beyond that now.
Yeah.
And my one buddy quit. No, and my one buddy that said $250,000 a year, like, man, he blew by that number.
Yeah.
And it's like, and his business is growing and he's giving her and he's like, he's stressed.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that he doesn't also have a good life. He does.
Yeah.
So a lot of these people, they find a way to make it work. And I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like I obviously, like I when we spend time out on your homestead and go back to our homestead, like we're in the middle between civilization and you guys. Like we're just kind of in the hybrid area. And I'm always thinking about both sides.
Yeah.
I'm always thinking about how hard do I want to drive, to what end, where's the value there? And I think that your story and this book is something people need to read. Like you may not want to become an off-grid person. Like I get that. You may not, like the idea of a cabin in the woods might appeal to you, but then if you spend 2 days, you might not handle it.
Right.
Not everyone does.
Right.
Like sometimes they're like, whoa, this is solitude. Yes, it is. You can like listen to nothing at times or birds.
Yeah.
You can see the stars. Yep. Like there's things you can do out there. You can blow a cannon off in the back of your yard and nobody cares. And so, but there's also like, it's very different. And so, but you may not be like attracted to that, but you may need to rethink where you're at and what you're driving for.
Yeah. The book Kenton convinced me is called Gridlessness, Finding Freedom Off Grid.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the finding freedom.
Yeah.
Because, the off-grid is like my flavor. Like I was attracted to the outdoors. I liked hunting and the wilderness. But the bigger message is the autonomy, the freedom to, do those things you want to do. Yeah. You can, like, my message is you can do it. Like if I can do it, you can do it. Like I think way more people can do the interesting, non-typical things they want to try.
Yeah.
I think we can do them.
Yes.
But like that river that everyone's tubing down.
Yeah.
Like if you stay in the river, you will just keep doing what everyone else is doing.
Totally.
And if you've got some ideas, you want to do something different, just like get out somehow, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And then you're standing there and you're like, I now am in control. I'm going to get in here, but I'm going to get out there, or I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So that's what we did, was we just kind of like removed ourselves in certain ways.
Yes.
From the stream, from the normal.
Yes.
And then we got to pick and choose. Like we didn't have to abandon all technology because we went off grid.
Yeah.
You know, and we didn't have to like just like try and like have a farm market to sell our produce.
Yes.
You know, I could still have a career and even have like a successful business.
Yeah.
Even though I'm doing this off grid thing. So
Yes.
it was kind of about making my own choices and then living and dying on my own sword. And what happened was, it's been amazing.
Man, I think that this is a story that needs to be read. We've both you and I have sweated over this.
Right. Yeah.
And for you, it wasn't pure joy.
No. Yeah.
And your back is doing much better now.
It
These days,
is,
which is awesome. Like you're out hunting again and stuff, which gives me great joy.
Yeah.
And for me, I love it. Like the editing was a lot of fun for me. I really enjoyed it. There's obviously going to be a link on our website and attached to this podcast as well, where you can buy the book. So there's
going to be
happen.
a soft copy.
Yes.
An ebook, which
That's
I've
right.
never read myself in my life, an ebook.
Yeah.
There's going to be an audiobook.
Which is going to be recorded right here.
We're going to record it right here.
Yeah.
And it's going to sound just like this.
Yeah.
This is what the book will sound
Except when he's talking for his wife. When I don't know what that's going to sound like.
like.
That's going to be
Jeffrey?
It's going to be fantastic.
That's not what she sounds like.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for coming in.
Yeah.
And for talking with me. And this is going to be a fun journey. And we will have you back on. Like once we have
let's
like
do it.
some feedback from the book and stuff like that, we'll have you back on and like answer questions.
Oh,
and
we could do
stuff
like that
and-
mean tweets thing
Yeah,
where we could
totally.
like review the comments and be like, oh.
Yeah, you guys
so-
don't have a clue. You're living a lie. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We always appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.